For the home side as well. Alan, I know it feels like a really significant win today. Why?
Yeah, because you have to stop the rot. When you look at what Tottenham have done in terms of league games, despite not playing well, you've got to go out and get wins. And with the forwards that they possess, it's going to be very difficult to challenge them and Liverpool for fourth position. And if they're going to do that, today was a significant game. They had to get back to winning ways today. It had to be 3 points. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter whether they're lucky, it just had to be 3 points. They managed to do that. So, and also, when the manager makes decisions in terms of leaving players out and bring his players in, I think it's really important to try and make a statement. The players have done that. He brought Isak in, he scored. He left Almiron out, and they brought him onto the bench. He then was looking for the reaction. He got that exact reaction. So, yeah, it's in terms of the result and what the manager has done, it's been a really good day for Newcastle.
They were struggling for goals heading into this game. It had been 315 minutes since they'd scored. And as Alan pointed out, Callum Wilson drops to the bench, Isak comes in and he gets his goal. So the manager rewarded by making that change.
Yeah, proved the point. I thought he'd done very well. He'd link up play, stretching play. You know, he's taking people on. He got his goal. That's exactly what you want, really. You know, like I was saying to Al, why is he taking him off? Al mentioned that he might be saving him a little bit, Al, but like I thought that header was fantastic. Brilliant header. Great ball in, brilliant header. Fantastic finish.
I think because of his lack of game time, that's why the manager feels he's not ready to do 90 minutes as yet. And perhaps that's understandable, but he shouldn't be far away from that now. I mean, I thought he did well today. Certainly with his application and everything else that link with it. But as a forward, you know that he's bringing him in to score goals. He's bringing him in because Newcastle's problem has not been putting the ball in the back of the net despite creating chances. So despite all your running, despite your little flicks and tricks, which is what he certainly did that today, it's important that you see the ball hit the back of the net, and that'll give him great belief and confidence going forward.
I think, Al, you mentioned, especially in the first half, maybe at half-time, the fact that if he could maybe be more of a focal point for him. But then, ideally, you want to get Miggy back on the form he was on earlier on in the season, which was scintillating, because he was beating people, getting the ball in the box. I feel if Newcastle can have more of a focal point where he can hold it, link play, you can then bring Joe Willock in, you can bring players like Longstaff into the game so you can get more players forward, because some of the times, Al, ball's going in, there's no one in the box. So if Isak comes out, then someone's got to be going in. Those are the things that now Newcastle have got to be doing at home, because they've got to make sure it's a lot more comfortable than it was for Wolves, a team that are not scoring. I think they're the least scoring team in the league. Lowest scoring team in the league. And they kind of like frightened you to a certain extent. So you've got to make sure that you're making the chances to finish those teams off.
For that reason, is Isak a more effective forward than Callum Wilson? Or do you think Eddie Howe will pick his striker based on the team that they're playing next?
No, but I think the important thing is he's got options. And that's the important thing. And such is the modern day football now. I think Isak is more of a forward than a centre forward. Callum Wilson is a centre forward who will be that point, who will get the scrappy goals for you in and around the 60-yard box. I know it hasn't worked for him of late, but mainly that's his job and that's what he's good at. Isak is more of a forward, where he can play as a 10, he can play on the left or the right, and he can also play up front. But when he's asked to do that position today, there were just 3 or 4 occasions where Newcastle were looking to get the build-up, were looking to get the ball into the box, and he's coming as a 10 rather than being the focal point in and around the 18-yard box. So, but with time and with experience and with him, the more he plays, then that will come.
OK, let's take a look at the equaliser that Wolves managed to get. And it's a bit of an unfortunate slip from Kieran Trippier, who had set up that first goal. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Well, the thing is that Wolves got themselves in a situation where they're on the edge of the box and they get a little bit of luck there, another bit of luck there, and then that's it. Kieran Trippier trips up. Unfortunately for him, he slips. You see a bit of luck there. And even there was a bit of luck. So he slips, and that can happen. That can happen when it's 1-0. That's what I was saying to Al. I was saying, Al, oh no, I don't like it. Al. And then bam, this happens, because that can happen when it's 1-0. And that is why, when you've got the momentum in the game, you've got to go and try and finish them off. And in the end, you saw the substitutes he made. He brought on positive players in Almiron, and they came up and they done the business. So you kind of, I'm pleased for Newcastle, because I didn't want it to just be my team that won today. I wanted Newcastle to win as well for Al. You know what I mean?
Well, Hwang Hee-chan had only been on the pitch for 57 seconds when he managed to get that goal. something, and Newcastle hadn't quite looked the same in the second half.
Yeah, Newcastle got further and further back, and the changes that that Wolves made certainly only enhanced that. They give them a little bit more energy, give them a little bit more of a threat, and they were then starting to commit more men forward, which was a problem for Newcastle. And when you're under a little bit of pressure, like Newcastle were, then that can happen. All right, it might have been a fluke, and it's not very often you're going to see him make a mistake like that because he hasn't made that many. But it happened, and then all of a sudden, Wolves have got their tails up, and it's a much more difficult game than it should have been.
Yeah, well, Newcastle managed to find a winner through Miguel Almiron, and they won the game by 2-1. And I'm delighted to say that Kieran Trippier joins us live now. Kieran, thanks for talking to us. First of all, congratulations, a first win in 6 Premier League games. But how hard did you have to work for that victory today?
Yeah, we had to work really hard. I think the past couple of weeks we've faced some tough challenges, but we knew how important the game was today to try and get to the 3 points. And yeah, especially second half, it was tough, but we've shown great togetherness in the game like we have done all season.
Kieran, I was going to say about the second half. First half was very good, but about the second half, there seemed to be a little bit of maybe because of the way it's been going the last few games with the results you're trying to get. Did it feel like losing confidence, or you lacked a little bit momentum to go for them? Was there nervousness?
I don't think there was nervousness, but I think the first half we tried to go after them like we do every team. But I think the second half, Wolves gained momentum. They got more of the ball, and this is football. It happens in games, and that's where we had to show great grit and togetherness to get through those moments. And especially my slip as well. Another assist today, but I got people like Miggy who has had a fantastic season, and he saved me today.
Kieran, do you think Newcastle got away with one in the first half when Nick Pope made that little bit of an error? Did you ever think, or were you worried at one stage that it could have, perhaps should have been a penalty?
To be honest, I was on the other side, but again, I spoke to Pope. He said it spun away from him, and I think the lad said that he went down too easy. In the moment, you are a bit nervous, but you're always delighted when the referee doesn't give the decision.
It took a bit of time for that decision to be made. So I know you're saying you were quite far away from it, but was there a moment of panic there? Because Nick Pope has been so important for Newcastle as well. Yeah,
Pope has been top ever since he arrived. You see the saves week in, week out. And in the moment, you think it could be a penalty, but the ref, that's what VAR is there for, and they made a good decision in the end.
Kieran, because recently the results haven't gone as well, was it more about the result today rather than the performance, just to try and get that little bit of confidence back?
Yeah, definitely. I think, the games against City, United and Liverpool, we have actually performed really well and created so many chances, but it's about being clinical, and we've talked about that all week. We've talked about how we could hurt Leeds, and again, we've had chances today, but like you said, the most important thing was the win, and we move on now.
Absolutely.
The lack of goals lately had been a bit of a concern heading into the game. So let's just take a look at Miguel Almiron's winner then, shall we, Kieran? Because you talked about him getting you out of a bit of a sticky situation. He's come off the bench and got another winner. How important has he been for the team this season?
He's been so important, and we talked about it a lot over the past couple of months. It's not about the 11 that are playing. We have to empty our tanks on the pitch, and we have players who can come off the bench to hurt the opposition. And Murphy's took his chance today, done well, and that was very important for Miggy to come on and make an impact, because subs are so important.
In the context of the season then, Kieran, obviously a big win today, but looking at the results around you, Liverpool losing yesterday at Bournemouth, Spurs winning, you've closed the gap onto Spurs in 4th place, but you have got 2 games in hand on them as well, and a game in hand on Liverpool. Do you see this win today as a bit of a reset and a chance to get yourself back into a Champions League place?
Yeah, it's a massive win, and the Premier League's relentless. No matter who you play, it's a tough game every single week. But we spoke a lot at the start of the season about we can do something special. We need to believe, stick together in the tough moments, like we have been going through. And we need to focus on next week now, next Friday, because it's another tough game away at Forest.
What would Champions League football mean to you and the team?
It mean everything. We shouldn't be shying away by saying we want to finish in the top 4. We want to set high standards. We want to finish in the top 4. We want to bring Champions League football to this massive club, and like I said, we shouldn't be shy to say that. So, but we've got 13 massive games coming up, and take it a game at a time.
All right, Kieran, thank you so much.
Thank you very
well done
much.
again today. Congratulations.
Well done, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
High standards. That's a really interesting thing to pick out from what he's just said there. They have set themselves high standards coming into the campaign. At the start of the season, Alan, Champions League football wasn't necessarily the aim, was it?
No. I love his attitude. I love the way he's not frightened to say, yeah, we want Champions League football. I don't think they would have said that at the beginning of the season, but they've had a taste of being in and around third, fourth, fifth. Yeah. So, yeah, that has to be an ambition of theirs. Even if they were to get into a Europa position, that would be a remarkable achievement. From when he first arrived at the football club, if you remember, one of his first games, if not his first game, was an FA Cup tie where he himself had to go and drag the players back in after being beaten at home to Cambridge, I think it was. Then he showed his leadership qualities. He's a captain of Newcastle when Lascelles isn't playing, which hasn't been very often this season. So I like that attitude from the captain to say, no, we've had a taste of being in the position in third or fourth, and that's where we want to end up. And that's the way that they should be thinking and feeling.
When it comes to Newcastle's ambitions, Wrighty, because they did spend such a long time in the top four, if they were to just miss out and finish in a Europa League place, will it be seen as a disappointment?
No, I don't think so. Simply because, like you said there at the start there, that's not something that they were looking for in the first place. I think if Newcastle could get themselves in and around from 7th to 10th in this season with everything what's happening, and with a good season, they'd probably be happy. But being where they've been for the majority of the season, they're seeing what's going on around them. They know that a few more games with chances taken, Newcastle will be even further up the league. So if I'm in the Newcastle dressing room now, I'm still feeling like I want to push for top four. You can't not do that. You can't be satisfied, because where Newcastle want to be ending up and want to be going, you have to have the...
Position MRBEAR. Alors que se passe-t-il? Le buteur Hakim Ziyech est resté au sol.